Uh, our guest is Mr. Borut Mohar, the co-founder and creative director at DD Geopolitics, and Ms. Sarah Bils, the co-founder and analyst at DD Geopolitics. And any of the media outlets in India, in South Asia, and the world, if you are looking for interviewing any of them or both of them, you can contact, you can see their website address at the bottom of the screen and also their email address. Ms. Sarah, can you please explain to our audience what DD Politics is doing, Geopolitics is doing? I mean, can you please explain the activities of your organization?
Sure. We like to call ourselves a media cooperative. We work with journalists and contributors from around the world. Our overarching theme and goal is multipolarity, which is the sovereignty of nation states to direct their commerce, trade, and their freedoms the way that they want to. That's what we believe in. We support nationalism inside of states. We support patriotism. In other words, we want Bangladesh to be for Bangladeshis in the vision that Bangladeshis have for it. And the same goes for every other country. And that's why we work. We find it to be so important to be. I'm the only American. People have the misconception that we're an American outlet, and we are not. We are very international, and that's something that we stress. What we're doing now is we have myself and one other contributor in America, and then we have them mostly across Eastern Europe, Russia, and we have some people in the Middle East. And these people give us the insights that we need to understand what is going to help these nations and states succeed. And with that information, we can take them to the upper echelons of international policy. We have contacts inside of the UN. I myself has testified to the ICC and the ICJ. We've spoken at the UN. We've had American and I believe Balkan politicians read our posts. One American representative, Marjorie Taylor Greene, actually read our research on the House floor. So we know that we have the capability to influence policy. We just want to make sure that we do it with the right information as close to the sources as we can get.
Mr. Borut, you are definitely aware that the head of the interim government in Bangladesh, Mohammed Yunus, he recently visited China. China sent their own aircraft for him. And during that visit, he has mentioned that the ocean, the Indian Ocean, he said, quote, Bangladesh is a guardian of the Indian Ocean. And he invited Chinese investors to invest in Bangladesh, hinting that through this investment, they can do business in the Indian northeastern states. So this is definitely seen by the Indian side as a kind of the hostility. And there are media reports. I will ask this question also to Ms. Sarah Bils, that there are media reports that China is really looking forward to building a air base in Lalmonirhat district in Bangladesh, which is bordering with India. You know, Bangladesh is surrounded by Indian land borders. And also China is increasing its activities in Bangladesh, even in the water treatment projects and other projects, which are very sensitive projects for India, actually. On the other hand, Pakistan is also becoming increasingly active in doing things in Bangladesh, which may ultimately cause threat to India's national security. So, as a global analyst, and how do you see these things happening? I mean, the Chinese growing influence in Bangladesh, Pakistan's growing activities in Bangladesh, and India, which was expecting Donald Trump would do a lot because Donald Trump needs India for his Indo-Pacific policies. But now, as Mr. Bils also said, that, I mean, kind of the Donald Trump somehow escaped this whole thing through a comment. So how do you see what is going to happen in South Asia?
I mean, in my opinion, it's only natural that China tries to expand its power projection across the region. In my personal opinion, I would say it's even too late, because if we look at the region, it's pretty occupied by Western military bases, let's say American power projection, I want to say. Of course, it's a touchy subject with India. I mean, I've read some reports months ago that let's say the relationship is not that hostile, but that could be maybe just a media report. We saw exchanges on the border, let's say, between soldiers. The other problem I think China sees maybe is BRICS, and India kind of being I don't want to say the wrong word, but maybe kind of being like the joker of the big five in BRICS, the one that deals the most with the United States. Of course, no one says it out loud that it's not desirable. But if you look at the other countries, like the big countries, let's say China and Russia, I would say it's not really something they are very fond of. But in terms of military presence, I would say it's only natural. China needs to, if you look at their plan, the strategic plan, like what type of military equipment are they building? They're building nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. China doesn't need those for defensive purposes. China needs those the same as America uses them, and Sarah could probably expand on that because she was actually in the Navy. You need that for power projection in the region, right? So I think that's China's natural course. Of course, it probably clashes with some Indian interest. But I think Sarah could explain it more.
So we're asking about South Asian policy in regards to India and China. I think that India, God, this is going to sound really bad. I think India needs to be contained a little bit. I think that Trump is going to give Modi a lot of free rein while trying to rein back Xi. So I think it's time for South Asian countries like Bangladesh and Pakistan to kind of assert their own sovereignty and choose their own way and make sure that they're not sort of co-opted under either of these causes. Modi has his own, more nationalist, not so much, well, some expansionist Kashmir issue, but, Modi has a lot of nationalist vigor, while Xi has a lot more economic and an expansion of the international trade. I would love to see Bangladesh, not so much Pakistan, but Bangladesh join in BRICS, especially with the guidance of China, which could be a really good boost for South Asia. I think that the South Asia Muslim countries do need to get involved in BRICS, and that will provide a counterweight to the powerhouse that India is becoming inside of BRICS. India and China are really kind of dictating policy for that quadrant of the world inside of BRICS because Iran is kind of on the back foot. So it's a good time for the South Asian countries to sort of step up and assert their sovereignty while they have these two giants, India and China, kind of fighting over the influence in the area.
But Sarah, Miss Sarah, when you say that Bangladesh should join the BRICS, actually, but as you know, as you just mentioned about the color revolution,
yeah,
the United States has done this color revolution in Bangladesh. They have tried it in India also. Earlier, they have done it in Pakistan. They have also tried it in Russia. They cannot do it in China because of many reasons. But the product of color revolution is not going to be China's natural ally. But what we see that China is, for example, in Bangladesh, the current regime is actually a product of the color revolution of the American deep state. And American deep state serves the purpose of the military industrial enterprises, and it is actually going to ruin the country the way they have ruined it. Why China is joining his hands with the product of his strategic enemies like deep state.
Well, I do remember the color revolution, and I remember the president beforehand and how friendly she was to China. That's probably why she got overthrown by the United States and George Soros. George Soros hates China, hates China. So that's a good point. What we see in the other places that have suffered from color revolutions that have even been worse than the one that Bangladesh went through is that they're now asserting their sovereignty, like Romania or Georgia are now saying, we're not interested in this sort of Western stuff. We're doing our own thing. We're also not interested in really fully aligning ourselves with Russia either. We're kind of on our own foot. And maybe Bangladesh finds itself in that sort of position. It's a thing that Bangladesh it will have to navigate. And I would highly suggest doing it without a lot of foreign help because that can be misconstrued as interference or give the United States even more reason to get more involved. But I think Bangladesh will find its way. It's inevitable. I think that despite all of the blustering and loudness coming out of America, the empire of America is very much contracting and losing its power. So I think that could be a positive for that region.
Mr. Borut, you heard just now that when Mr. Bill said that Soros hates China, she repeated. But we know how Soros hates every country. He has done damage to Thailand. He has done damage to the United Kingdom. He has been trying to cause damage to India also. So Joe Soros is a person who is unpredictable. He is pushing forward his own vicious agenda, even in Ukraine. You know what he's doing. But with this kind of the situation where we don't know what Donald Trump is going to do really about China, or whether Donald Trump is really going to defend his ally India, we don't know. And as Ms. Sarah Bils said about for Bangladesh joining BRICS, I mean, do you think that should be a realization in the minds of the leaders in the South Asia, for India, Bangladesh, etc., that instead of depending what America may do, what America can do, we should form our own alliance within the countries in the global South under the leadership of our leaders. It could be President Putin, it could be Narendra Modi, it could be Xi Jinping, but our leaders, not someone else who actually, in real sense, doesn't bother about us.
Of course, I totally agree. And I would even say now is the perfect time. Now I think it's a time when nations will choose, especially in these trade wars. We will see in the next few days. Donald Trump said 75 nations are crawling back to me to make a deal. We don't even, let's say today, April 10th, we don't even know why he dropped the tariffs back to 10%, to all nations except China. Why was it inside trading? Was it the Japanese dumping? Who knows? Maybe we'll find out in the next couple of days. But I think it's kind of a make or break moment, especially for the global South nations. Now you can choose. Either you subordinate again to the empire, or you stand your ground. Like Trump uses this a lot in his propaganda or PR moves. It's going to be hard for a while, but then prosperity will come. And I think it applies to every nation. But also, I just read on Reuters, posted a few hours ago or 2 hours ago, that India is one of the first countries that came to Donald Trump to negotiate a deal. So they have a lot of power because in negotiations with Trump, we'll see how they do it. I'm not very optimistic, just by judging in the past. Of course, they look at their own interest, but for the region, I don't know how that will end. But as far as, like I said, the global South is a perfect opportunity. Like the history will judge you now if you bend the knee again or you stand your ground. This is my opinion.
So, Ms. Sarah, you know that the tariff, Donald Trump has put it on pause for 90 days. But when Israeli Prime Minister visited, he said he is not going to reconsider. What is your opinion?
Well, I think that the United States kind of let the toothpaste out of the tube and is struggling to put it back in. They went very hard and very fast with these tariffs. And what they saw when this happened is people immediately began calling for meetings to diversify their imports. I think that these tariffs are actually a net positive for multipolarity because they encourage these smaller states, especially, to diversify their imports and to decrease their dependency on the United States. I think the United States probably saw that in the cards while these tariffs were in place for their very short duration and immediately backtracked, but not before they, did a little bit of insider trading and made a couple $100 billion off of the stock market manipulation. So I see them backing off as a good sign for the international community, as them kind of seeing, oh, there's a weak spot, there's a sort of chink in the armor that we may be able to exploit, but now we know that they're scared of us diversifying our imports, and that's what we should be doing, is diversification.
You see, Ms. Sarah, you are correct that Donald Trump is asking us to produce what we have been exporting to United States in United States. But in my country, the daily monthly wage of a industrial worker is between 100 and 150 US dollars, while in US it's $15 per hour. So ultimately, the person who are going to be affected by this tariff is the Americans, not me in Bangladesh or Mr. Borut in Slovenia. It's Americans. And at the same time, when Trump is expecting that his Tesla would be sold in this part of the world, or Starlink would be subscribed by people very impractical, because we don't buy things so expensive. We get things far cheaper from Russia, from China, and many other countries. So do you see the prospect that this tariff actually is going to create a new avenue for the nations in the global south to understand our own market, to explore our own market, and forget about exporting it to United States or rest of the Western countries?
Exactly. This is a very large indication. I don't want to get too big into Marxist ideology, but this is very much a class war sort of intricacies, where Donald Trump and his kind of cabinet do have no idea how the rest of us live. And to think for a second that a Bangladeshi, a clothing manufacturer, can up and move to Texas is just so far out of the realm of reality that an American needs $150 a day to live on, like not a month. So this is really good for the global south. Very good. They don't need, their clothes are still in demand. We still want the clothes, but their clothes are still very much in demand. So this is very good for the global south, because now they can diversify their exports and explore new markets and even explore new supply chains that get these things into the United States. This is a net benefit for the global south and the East and the BRICS countries if they play it correctly. I think that the United States is very much on the back foot. This is time for them to take advantage of this.
Mr. Borut, do you think this the Trump tariff, it's going to further deteriorate the situation of the Americans, who have been already struggling with the inflation and recession? And now they have to, as Ms. Sarah Bils was saying, that the production cost will increase maybe 100 times. So, who Trump is punishing actually with this tariff? His own people or us in the global south?
If you went and look at Western social media, let's say Twitter, for example, you would think like the people are disconnected with reality, especially in America. There was a funny bit from an American comedian about tariffs. He basically says the punchline is, "But Trump, you're crazy. I don't want to make Nikes. I want to wear Nikes." So they don't realize that. What does that mean? We're gonna bring production back into the United States. I understand that's that needs to happen in the United States. And I think Sarah mentioned Marxist ideology for a second. I think it's a perfect opportunity for some people with certain ideologies to take back the means of production and how to take back the working class, to take back in America. But I don't think Americans are ready to produce sportswear or T-shirts. And there's another thing, like you said, punish. I think first you would need to set up like the means of production for, let's say, for medicine. I won't say percentage because I'll probably make something up, but a lot of medicine is imported from India or China. And we know how the healthcare system is in the United States. So it's expensive as it is, and then put more on that, it will definitely hurt the common people, the lower class, lower middle class. So yeah, I think in the long run, people don't, in America, especially like this MAGA community in America, is they live in a bubble. We made a joke with one of my Russian colleagues today that for them Trump is like a mega church preacher, right? They believe he's like an icon. In my opinion, it's like a cult, and they believe everything. But I mean, Trump started his presidency with basically a crypto scam, now insider trading. But they still trust. They still say trust the plan, and at that point, I kind of lose, empathy for the people. If you don't see through the veil, I don't know how to help you.
Ms. Sarah Bils, you know that Trump has declared that anyone buying a gold card with $5 million to get in kind of the excess in the United States. But you, I, and Mr. Borut, all of us know that by investing $5 million in any of the countries in the global south, be it China, India, Russia, Bangladesh, or any country, that person can become an entrepreneur. And by buying a so-called gold card with $5 million, and you are just entering the United States with nothing. And with the current scenario that when US has already failed with these sanctions on Russia, it has backfired. And actually, US is confused country what to do, and they are very angry, but they don't know what to do. It seems like that. So this $5 million gold card offer to enter United States, I mean, who are those people? They're going to buy this card. I mean, I heard that they have already 5,000 applicants for it. So, I mean, isn't that crazy?
Well, I have really good news. If you want an American citizenship, I will sell you mine for way less than $5 million. You can have mine. I think it's crazy. I think that's incredibly low for America. I think that the type of people that it's going to attract are not going to be the type of people that we want. Someone who invests $5 million in Russia or China or India is probably utilizing an entrepreneurial scheme. Someone that's investing $5 million in the United States isn't going to get very far. They're probably just a criminal or some sort of crypto scammer. Well, I mean, then maybe they'll fit right in. But I think that this is way too low. I think it's silly. It kind of shows a cheapness of America. They're not talking about come and invest 5 million, buy real estate, buy a business. They're coming, buy the citizenship. Just give us the money. So it's a very cheap kind of game show. It's Borut very correctly mentioned a mega church preacher. It's very carnival, like sort of Barker-esque. I think it's silly, and it kind of shows a kind of where America is really at. We're selling our citizenships.
Sarah and Mr. Borut, most of the governments in the global south, let's put it in this way, particularly in India, in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and other countries, they are also sometimes, because of the current existing global realities, where until now United States even still sits at the top of the seat. So they are looking for some kind of the companies, who can guide them with certain things towards the U.S. policy, because you know that U.S. policy sells. U.S. policymakers always get sold, and I mean, everything is for sale, including now their citizenship. So in this case, I mean, any of the governments in this region, if they want to seek any help from DD Geopolitics, what sort of cooperation you can offer to them?
Well, we have a plethora of different media that we work on. So we have video, we have on location, we have written, and we obviously have our news, we have analysis. If people want, they don't need to help us. What we want to do is to empower people and help them in their political spheres, in their regions, in their states. So if people want to reach out to us, we always welcome that. We are open to news shows, people writing anecdotes, people kind of just giving us on the grounds reports, anything that they want to get involved, especially since you've given us this wonderful opportunity to communicate with the South Asian and subcontinent sort of population, which we don't get a lot of opportunity to do. We are definitely looking to expand. And when we say expand, it's not an imperialist or a sort of corporate endeavor. We're just looking to make the family for quote unquote bigger and to kind of get more people involved in multipolarity, because when people are involved in their own futures, they're very much more invested in it and very much more their quality of life improves. And that's sort of what we're looking to do. We work with people in some of the worst places on earth, and they come up with some of the best content and the best insights. And I think that having a sort of support system of international journalists and collaborators is sort of beneficial to them. So anybody that wants to get involved, especially from countries where we don't have people, which is most of East and Southeast and South Asia, are very much welcome to reach out and get involved. Absolutely.
Before we conclude this program, Mr. Borut, I would like to seek your very brief comment on how the media outlets and the analysts and others can establish kind of the bridge of interaction with DD Geopolitics.
Of course, the easiest way, the easiest way would be to reach us via our email, which you posted. They can reach us on Telegram if there's that preferred platform, because we diversify. Let's say Telegram is our platform, which is mostly for short news, breaking news. They can reach us through the bot over there. It's on every post. On Twitter, direct messages, you could probably reach us. Like Sarah said, we're open to collaboration with everyone. That meaning like expanding, like she said. That means we will definitely provide you with a platform for cooperation. Even maybe like if there's a lot of people coming together, we would give them the branding and everything. We'll create a separate, let's say, DD Geopolitics Southeast Asia or South Asia or whatever, and give them free reign, as long as like we kind of agree on this multipolarity, our kind of worldview. We can work together, and they can have their own editorial policy. We definitely want to cooperate more with the region. We've been focused so much on like Eastern Europe, Caucasus, and Middle East. And we are a small team. We have contributors, but the core team is very small, and they're all volunteers. So we always need new people, want to work with new people. So like if they want to reach us, maybe via our email, on Telegram, just hit DD Geopolitics bot. Our bot will send direct messages to administrators, and we can talk there.
Our profound gratitude to you, Mr. Borut, and also Ms. Sarah Bils, and I sincerely hope that we will get you in the future also to discuss various issues, and I hope that by interacting with you, other media outlets in this part of the world and organizations also can achieve a lot of things, learn a lot of things, because both of you have been very educated to me. And on behalf of Blitz and my entire team, I'd like to express my gratitude to you and the smiling Sarah Bils, because I found her extremely energetic, lively. And I'll remember your offer of selling the U.S. citizenship for $5 million, but
yes!
I don't have $5 million. So what I
don't
can give
need
you,
$5 million. Less than 100,000, and we are talking. If you give me 100,000, you can have my citizenship and stay in my house.
We can host both of you in Bangladesh, and you can come and you can open your organization.
Trade spots. Yeah, we'll open our media company. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to you, and we hope to meet you again. Thank you.
Thank you.